Help KZOM Radio build towards the future. We are currently looking to expand our network and need all the help and support we can get. Please visit kzomradio.com/fundraising for details.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another great, exciting episode on the Zurvivalist. I am Matt Jarbo, here today with Zane from Michigan. Zane, how you doing?
Great, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And you are an author of a book. Why don't you tell us about that book?
The book's called After Effects: Zombie Therapy. You can read the synopsis if you want to at www.zanebrady.com.
Awesome. Did you just release it?
It's actually been up, I think, week 3 now. I think we're going into the 3rd week.
Nice.
of the actual release. And
I assume you're doing quite well.
Yeah, amazingly. I was talking to somebody the other night. I was saying when I launched it, I kind of pictured myself looking at this like ever standing 0 on the screen, constantly hitting refresh on my browser and never seeing it move. But it hasn't been that way at all. It's actually been surprising. I'm actually humbled and surprised to see that people are buying it. So it's great.
That's great. Well, we have a huge zombie-loving community here with Zurvivalist. I mean, given the topic of conversation, so it's apparent. So everyone check that out, zanebrady.com, and it will be in the show notes for you guys to check out and everything. So, okay, man, let's get right down to it. How would you survive a zombie outbreak?
I'm kind of a hunker down kind of a guy. I think I'd look for whoever had the house with the best windows set up and get it boarded up. I'm not an on the move kind of a person. If I could, I guess I'd feel it out. If there's 10,000 of them in the area, yeah, I'm probably gonna keep moving. But in general, when I get to a spot, I think I would make the fortress.
Well, you live, in like kind of the middle of Michigan, and I'm looking at your current, census report, and it's got, 48,000 citizens. So, I mean, you got a decent amount, but you guys also feel kind of like you're more spread out.
I'll tell you what, if you live here, we have the Michigan militia is pretty prominent. Anybody who knows, and they're basically a band of survivalists. So I think if you headed north into the UP, as long as you were embraced, I think they'd probably already have the camp set up.
So at least there'd be some kind of refugee camp, even if it is by the militia.
Well, Upper Peninsula is pretty thinned out. I mean, there's not a lot of there's a few cities, but here and there, especially on the coast. But you got a lot of open land with nobody up there.
So you'd be able to see the zombies coming.
Well, and I guess winter would be a little tough though.
Yeah, the winters would be hard to get through. They'd be hard to get through because of would food be scarce up there?
Yeah, again, winter would be tough, but if it wasn't winter, I mean, it's pretty much a huge agriculture country, so you could have miles and miles and miles of corn to eat, I guess.
Well, I mean, starchy but good.
Right.
A lot
of orchards, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you'd have to get through the winter, of course. So then, once you get out of the winter, you'd be okay at least for a while.
Foraging would be. You do all right with foraging in Michigan.
That's just the winters that suck.
Right.
So you were telling me beforehand that you've got 6 kids.
Yeah.
And so that's a pretty big family.
Yeah, well, this day and age, I suppose it sure is.
And so I mean, you'd have to obviously, most people that I interview on the show are generally single, or they're married and they don't have a big family, so it's going to kind of change the dynamic. You'd always have to pack everyone up and get them in the car, get them out of there. Do you have a specific place that you would go? Let's say if the UP is out of the question.
Actually, because my kids are, the oldest is 8 and the youngest is 2, and they kind of span down between that. There's only a 12-passenger van or a 15-passenger van is our only choice because we have so many car seats. I wrote a character that has kids and they have a van. They don't have 6 kids, but I think for me in that scenario it would be difficult because I do have a lot of little ones to kind of manage during the apocalypse. I think I would get them in the van, and I think I'd use the van as a home base. I mean, it's pretty sturdy and it's mobile if need be.
That's good. I mean, what about like family? Do you have a lot of family nearby?
No, not too many. We're, like my wife and I, most of our family either live out of state, so it would just be us as long as we could get ourselves in there, we'd be all set.
That'd be good. What about, okay, so, you're saying you could forage and it's a very agricultural area. Are you proficient in hunting or fishing?
Yeah, I am. Michigan's, white-tailed deer, fish. Where the town I happen to live in has a river that runs right through the middle of it that people are fishing in every day. I take the kids down there all summer.
Good,
So I
good. So
think,
you'd definitely be able to live off the land.
oh yeah, I guess, I'll just, for that first year, I'll just have to start teaching 6 kids to chop wood.
Well,
Right,
it's good that they learn anyway. You know,
right.
when I was a kid, I had to chop wood. I'm pretty sure when my kids are that age, they'll have to use a laser to slice them.
Right.
So that, but okay, so since you pretty much have like the survival part, taken care of at least, or a general solid understanding of how you're going to survive. Um, what if I kind of want to throw a wrench in it there? How would you, let's say, protect yourself from zombies, or the potential, like the earlier mentioned militia? What if they go scavenging and you're not wanting to like give up your stuff? I mean, are you prepared, to fight back if necessary?
Oh yeah, I actually wrote like I keep referencing the one chapter in my book, but I wrote the chapter two of my book. His name's Keegan Sanchez, kind of a little bit after my own perspective. He's a blue collar guy. He's a family guy and all that kind of stuff. And I think the characteristic that he kind of portrays is that he doesn't have any regrets. That he's like, I had to do what I had to do to keep my family safe, and that's his whole mentality. And I think that the zombies themselves will be pretty dangerous, but I think as things pan out, if you were to get a handle on that piece of it, I think the humans would be far more dangerous than the zombies by the end of the day.
Well, that's always the fear. Is, I mean, granted, even though humans will have to sleep and eat and use the restroom, of course, unless you're watching an episode of 24, then no. Um, but that's always kind of the fear, is that the human element's going to outweigh the undead, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be, fighting to keep everything they have, or fighting to take everything you have.
Yeah, and that's where I think my opinion is I'd probably be the stick with the like being hunkered down in one spot. I think traveling would get you, you get kind of penned up pretty easily. When I don't think I think the hardest part would be, and you see this in a lot of the old literature and a lot of the comics, is you get the person that comes and they need help, they need your help, and you got to choose whether you help them or not, and is that a ploy, and you leave yourself vulnerable. So yeah, I think it's I personally, yeah, to answer your question, yes, I would be more than willing to do whatever I had to do to make sure that my family was safe.
Of course. Now, what about the thing you just mentioned about helping people? Would you help people, or would you be like, nope, nope?
Well, I think you'd have to take that on a real case by case basis, but I think you have a real justification to be skeptical at that point.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I think anyone at that point would be. You'd have to definitely, question who they are and what their motives are.
yeah, I think short of short of them being eaten in the moment, they can wait on the porch for a little while till you figure it out. Like,
Like,
if,
show me if you've been bitten at all. I need to see everything.
right, arms up, turn around. Right, yeah,
And I mean, that's a common thing. If you're going to take anyone else in, you got to make sure that they're not infected. But I
yeah,
mean, the question is, sometimes the sickness can also come from just like malnutrition, or like this the elements getting to you, and you're not sure if when they die naturally, or quote unquote naturally, if they will return as zombies, because that's not something that's generally touched on. So you have to be careful then.
yeah, and I mean, I think, like, I don't know if you the classic episode of the Twilight Zone where the guy makes the bomb shelter and
I
he only
haven't
has
seen that one.
he only has enough food and enough oxygen for his family. He kind of built it and designed it, and all the people were calling him crazy for doing it. And at the end, when the siren goes off, who's crazy, right? He's got the bomb shelter, and everybody else doesn't have one. I mean, the twist is that it's a false alarm, but I think that's another thing that would really have you'd have to consider is if you're taking someone in, do you have enough supplies that you can that's another mouth to feed, and there's a lot of dynamics to it.
Exactly. Well, we are definitely running low on time, so let me just ask you the last question I ask everyone on the show, which is, if you were bit by a zombie, what would you do?
Well, based on what we've talked about with my family and everything, I think the only thing I could do is get out of there as fast as I could, and hope they could, do what I could in the little bit of time I had to set them up to defend themselves and take a walk.
Well, I think that's about the best you can do. But let me throw this mix in there. What if one of your kids were bit?
Well, that's a tough one. I think if I were to be brutally honest, I think I'd end up as these last few episodes of The Walking Dead. I might keep them in the barn. Like, I might, I don't know that I could do what I needed to do at the time, and I probably get myself in trouble. I don't know if I could do it. I probably would. I'd probably have them in the shed and hope there was a cure.
You know what though? I mean, it's kind of just how it is. You have to think about that kind of thing. And it's not as hard when it's just yourself, but when you have a big family, or in general people you care about, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
But that is all the time we have for this week. Zane, thank you very much for being on the show. For all of you guys listening at home, you can check out Zane's book. What's the website again on that one, Zane?
It's zanebrady.com.
Zane Brady, that's it. I don't know why I forgot that. I spaced for a second. So zanebrady.com. You can find all the information in the show notes at zurvivalist.com, or you can find us at twitter.com/KZOM Radio, facebook.com/KZOM Radio. Just Google it. It's there. You can't miss it. My name is Matt Jarbo. We'll see you back next week on another episode of The Zurvivalist. Have a great one.